Laskin Corlan, I'm delighted to have an opportunity of speaking on this, the Social Welfare and Pensions Bill. And there are important provisions in this new piece of legislation, not least the national minimum wage, which I think all sectors of the House have welcomed, though it's not that very long ago since we had IBEC and the outgoing government saying that this was absolutely essential to reduce the national minimum wage so that Ireland could be competitive and that jobs could be created. Now, I've heard not a single word of evidence that one single job was created by the reduction in the minimum wage, and I'd love to hear the evidence to that effect, and I don't believe for a minute that it made us one whit more competitive. So it's that type of message that comes across from vested interest that is not challenged, that can result in an entire community that's dependent on the minimum wage finding themselves in extreme poverty, and that by increasing the minimum wage to what it was and reversing the situation by up to €40 per week can make that difference for people who could not make ends meet to being able to make ends meet. And I think it's extremely important that we have put down this marker in our society, that we will not have a race to the bottom, that we are not going to condemn our least well paid to poverty. I think that's extremely important in these times. And of course, and these are very recessionary times, of course, every single penny that is spent in terms of the increase in the minimum wage will be spent in the community, in the local shops, because that's what people do. People who are on low income, they don't have that surplus money that is disposable in luxury holidays and so on, or cars. It's spent right in the community, and it's spent on bread and butter issues, quite literally. Also, from the point of view of the employers, the social welfare bill is generous to employers because it is having the lower rate of employer PRSI contribution from 8.5% to 4.25%. That's of reckonable earnings in any week where it doesn't exceed €356. And that is a significant concession to employers in the catering sector, tourist sector. It will cut the costs and should help to incentivise the workforce. And when we combine that with the reduction in the VAT rates from 13.5% to 9%, in many ways, employers should have no reason to complain and should recognise that this government is taking their interests very carefully under consideration. The activation initiatives that this piece of legislation also implements are extremely welcome in the National Employment and Entitlement Service, and I particularly want to welcome the National Internment Scheme with 5,000 work experience placements for job seekers. Now, the terms of reference extend to private, public, community and voluntary sectors with a top-up of €50 per week. Now that's extremely broad, so every area of the community, every area of the employers are able to avail of this scheme. And I think that we should be doing, as Oireachtas members, should show good example and lead from the front and take on interns and give them work experience for up to 9 months. I think that would be a desirable initiative for ourselves to avail of. Perhaps the most controversial area is the question of the state pensions. As we all know, the state pension increase in age, the EU-IMF bailout deal negotiated by the last government requires substantial adjustments to the state pension age by the end of June 2011, so there isn't that much time to deal with these adjustments. So the standardised rate 66 2014, 67 2021 and 68 in 2028. And we can see the reasons why all of this has been done because of the rapid growth in an ageing population.
Deputy Justice, 1 minute for me.
An ageing population, and because there will be a decreasing workforce comparatively. 6-to-1 workers at the present time and 2-to-1 workers for everybody over the age of 65 in the year 2050. Ironically, Charlie McCreevy had the right idea, and Charlie McCreevy put aside the 1% of GNP back, I think it was in 2000 or thereabouts, very wisely into a national pension fund so that we would prepare for that rainy day that was coming around. But through the mismanagement of the previous government, all of that money, or virtually all of it now, has been transferred to recapitalisation or to the bank, the EU-IMF bailout. So could I say in conclusion that you know, it's a bit like a curate's egg. It's not all bad. There are good aspects to it, a healthier population. Many people would like to work to a greater degree if they had the choice. But there are considerations that I think there will be anomalies created in relation to people's income, in relation to people's entitlements. And I know that the Senior Citizens Parliament have expressed some concern at the discontinuance of the traditional state pension prior to age 66. They've also expressed concerns that so many state agencies, such as the VHI, the Driver's Licensing Authority, the Passport Office, CIE, etc., as well as quite a lot of the private sector, such as Aer Lingus, have different rates, benefits and concessions which become applicable at the age of 65.
I'd like to ask the Deputy to conclude.
Finally, can I say, Las Concorda, that equality legislation may be required to address some of these issues so that we don't find ourselves with various anomalies that will be created by the legislation and which would disadvantage the elderly.
Yeah.